So everyone, and welcome to another episode of top user-created hidden time maps, this one for August and September, and it's also the final episode. First off, we're going to start with an honorable mention. It's Daisy Cruiser by Get Lucky 12341. Now, this is, of course, Daisy Cruiser from Mario Kart Double Dash. The reason why this map didn't quite make the list is because, I mean, it looks cool. It's Daisy Cruiser after all, it looks pretty good. But I don't give too many bonus points for just copy-pasting something if you're not gonna add that much stuff of your own to it. Now, there was a bunch of stuff added to this map to make it more hat in time-like, but I don't think it was enough to set it apart and actually be a hat in time map instead of just being some copy-pasted playground to run around in. That said, I did have fun with the map though, Onto the list though, on number 10 we have Second Blue by Jam. This time, last time he had First Blue as an honorable mention. This time he did actually make the list because I just really enjoy it when people try and create something awesome. There were a bunch of cool ideas in here, nothing really too special, like nothing that was really ground shattering or stuff that we haven't seen before, but I just really like the way it looks, and I like the way it plays, and I like the way where looking around for where you need to go actually rewards you by being able to see different places and different routes that you can go to, because there's not just one way of going through this stage. There's actually many different ways of going through the stage, and if you just stand still and look around and try and do some planning, you can actually figure some cool stuff out. I like that. Next up we have Fourth Floor Run by smaench and Happyalm. A stage that is a purple rift. So we have seen quite a lot of purple rifts before in the last 2 months before this, but this is another one of those that might as well have been part of the purple rift contest. As the name would say, there's 4 different floors. They all play a little bit differently, and in general it just plays very nicely. It's a very solid purple rift. Next up, on number 8, we have Radical Hell Zone by FlameLFH. This is a pretty cool hell map that has some really cool ideas that for one, the laser at the start. I haven't really seen anything like this before. Just a giant laser that just instantly shoots you off. That's pretty cool. And I also like the idea that bouncing on the cannonballs actually becomes a mechanic in this. The reason why this wasn't any higher is, for one, it doesn't look that interesting. I mean, just graphically, it looks a bit weird. And secondly, I think this is one of those maps that just suffer from not having too many checkpoints. I actually talked to Flame about this, but I think there should have been like at least 3 times as many checkpoints. Because, I mean, the difficulty in a map like this, you could say the difficulty is supposed to be just being able to deliver the game-winning, the perfect gameplay for a long period of time. I think if this map, if you play through it perfectly, it's like 4 or 5 minutes even. This is quite a map actually. I think it's not something that's fun to me though, because in order to do that, you just have to repeatedly play the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, and over again and over again, and I'm just not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of repeatedly playing the same stuff over and over again, and we're gonna see there's a map at number 2, which is also quite difficult, we're gonna see later, that has nothing that you play twice over. So I'm just not a big fan of that. I think personally, I just think that I'm gonna go out and say it. I like Flame. He's a cool guy, so I think he's gonna be able to take this without being angry about this. But I think it's terrible game design if you have to play the same stuff like 30, 40 plus times when you've already been past that part many times before. Like, if I get past a part and then play for another minute, like, I'm not just past the part and then die, I'm past the part, then past another part, then past another part, and then I die, and then I do exactly that 20 times in a row, and I get like 2 minutes into the stage doing really hard shit and then dying, and I need to redo the entire 2 minutes again. I think that's terrible game design. I'm sorry. Maybe other people think differently about this, but I think that's terrible game design when you have to replay 2 minutes of hard stuff all the time. Enough of that. Next up we have another hell map. It's Mafia Sky Hell by Starschulz Cypher, and this is another hell map that it's not actually that hell. I mean, the gameplay on screen doesn't quite reflect that because I'm terrible. The very first time I played this map, I was actually not as terrible as I am replaying the map. I don't know how that happens, but what I like about this map, it does a cool things. It uses cannons. It uses a cannon in a way that I've not seen before, and in general, this is a hell map that is very reasonable. There's not that much really crazy difficult stuff going on. This is a hell map where even if you're not that good at the game, you can probably beat it if you put your head to it and if you just try really hard. And this is why I like this one quite a bit, actually. On number 6, we have, what is this, Chapter 4 Desert Dazzle by Heavy? Isn't this map like top 3 top-rated maps of all time on... Yeah, I don't know, whatever. I like that this is a new... I like chapter maps because pretty much every time you make a chapter map, there's a certain idea that the creator has behind it and a certain amount of... How would you say it? A certain amount of effort and dedication that has gone into creating a chapter map. You can't just whip out a chapter map like by snapping your fingers like that. And I like that he also tried to keep it different. Like all the different acts do play and look very different from each other. The reason why this one isn't higher on the list is because personally I didn't really feel anything that was super duper special. I was kind of missing the special sauce. It felt more like a bunch of individual levels just put together on a hub world, and all the individual levels were pretty good, but not great. So much for that. Next up though, The Crimson Void by Elsie LCL. You could have also switched this. I could have also put chapter 4 on number 5 and then put Crimson Void on number 6. These two are pretty much interchangeable. I just did whatever, so don't think too much about these two. However, you're not gonna hear any sound for this because this is the Crimson Void, which is of course a big tribute rift to King Crimson, and this plays King Crimson sound in the rift. I don't want to get copyright struck, so in order for the copyright, I removed the sound. But yes, this is a King Crimson tribute rift that plays King Crimson sounds all the time, and yes, it does have some JoJo references in there, and they're pretty amazing. The reason why this one is on here is because, for one, I just like the idea behind it. Secondly, it looks amazing. Thirdly, it has a story going on. If you read what this guy says, the story isn't... It's alright. It's not gonna win an Oscar or anything, or an award, but it's alright. It's interesting, I'll say that. The gameplay is pretty varied. There's some pretty cool stuff going on here and there. It's quite long, but it still manages to keep it fresh every now and then. In general, I just like the idea and the execution and everything that's gone into this. And I mean, it's King Crimson. But next up, these next 4 though. These next 4 are a step above everything else. So now we get into the big stuff. Now we get into the stuff that's definitely deserving of being top 4, and none of the other ones that came before this I would be willing to put in the top 4 over any of these. So next up, on number 4, we have ConductorWare Smooth Moves, also by Elsie LCL. I can't even believe that Elsie was someone who, at the very start of the entire Hat in Time modding, I was like, this map looks cool, but the gameplay is terrible, you need to get better. And then the next map out there, I was like, oh, this is terrible. I said like, there were like 4 maps that Elsie made where I was like, oh, this is bad. And now Elsie is putting out the good stuff, the great stuff, the amazing stuff, the stuff that makes me go, oh my god, this is ConductorWare Smooth Moves. We don't have Wario, but we have Hatkit, and we're doing the cool stuff. This map is amazing. I don't even need to say anything about this map. Look at it. It's great. It's fucking great. Next up, though, we have Wet Hero Challenge by Habboi. Now, ConductorWare, at some point, some of the minigames, they weren't quite up to par when it came to gameplay and variety. But in Wet Hero Challenge, first off, looks amazing as well. Look at that. All of this stuff, like top 4, top 5, and everything looks... Oh my god, I can't even... It makes my eyes sparkle how great everything looks in here. And not just that, we also have quite a difficult rift to just play through without dying, because if you collect all the pawns, there's a special at the end, but if you die, like run out of all your 4 lives, you lose all your pawns that you've collected so far, so you need to start from the beginning if you want to get the special. If you don't want to get the special, you can just die and it doesn't matter. And it has checkpoints, so if you don't want to get the special, you can just die, continue, no problem. But I like the way it looks, I like the way it plays, the varied gameplay, the fact that there's a special challenge. There's nothing that I really don't like about this map, apart from one thing, and this is the reason why it's not higher on this list, is the hitboxes for the spiky urchins. It's just so big, and I don't know why. Also, this map has a lot of downvotes. If you go to the Steam workshop. This thing has like 3 out of 5 stars or 2.5 out of 5 stars. It's like ridiculous. I'll get to that later. So I have stuff to say about that. Next up, we have also a Habboi map, because that was my Habboi, if I didn't say that. The last of the Habboi maps. Habboi has put out some of the greatest maps of all time. And this is his last one. Sadly didn't quite make top 1. But you know, if you give me some good reasons why this one should be number 1, I might agree with you. Because number 1 is also really good. But I kind of want to give both the number 1, because both number 1 and this one, Ultra Silence, are just both so amazing that they blow my mind to Mars and back, and then to Hadkit's Planet and back. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We have Ultra Silence here, and Ultra Silence is a map that has been in the works for a very long time. There's always been this rumor. Is he ever going to release Ultra Silence? Is he not going to release Ultra Silence? What do we have to do for Habboi to release Ultra Silence? Do we have to massage his feet in some various spicy sauces? We didn't know, but now he released it at the end of his modding career. And oh my god, what a map it is. It's a map that is really, really long. And if you die once, like if you run out of your 4 lives once, you go back to the very start. Unless you activate baby mode. Like at the very start, there's a thing you can talk to and it activates easy mode, and then you have checkpoints and everything, no problem. But I mean, it looks amazing, it plays amazing, it's a big challenge. Just playing through this without dying took me 40 minutes. Just saying. This map is this long. Playing through it in one go, 40 minutes without dying. Ridiculous, but I love it. I absolutely love it. This is what I want from a custom map. But at number 1, we have Radical Crater by Xarathoss, because oh my god, this one is also really fucking good. I don't even know how we had this many good maps in the recent days. Actually, wait a second. No, I know why we had this many good maps. It's because we had Timmy Day. And Timmy Day, if you don't know what Timmy Day is, it doesn't matter. You don't need to know what Timmy Day is, but we had many amazing maps on one day. And this is another one of those. This was the ultimate Timmy Day map to end all Timmy Day maps in lore, at least. Because this was the challenge of, well, I'm not going to spoil the lore, but there was an important thing we have to do in the Timmy lore on this map. So this map is extremely hard, and people have trouble with it. And by the way, what you're seeing on screen right now is my true power level, where this is my power level if I'm not recording. Actually, I was recording, but if I'm not streaming and talking all the time and trying to be entertaining, because my true power level is actually over 9,000. No, just kidding. So this map also has, apart from the crater area, it also has these really, really difficult void area or abyss area, whatever it's called. I think it's the abyss. And this area requires, it's not actually that long. If you go through this, if you were to go through this entire area without falling off once, you could beat this entire area in like 1.5 minutes. And it has 2 checkpoints in it. And at the end, there's something amazing. But yeah, this area is incredibly difficult. This is one of the hardest stuff you can do in all of Hat in Time, even though it looks so simple. Like, it takes a lot of effort to get through anything in here. But I really like it. I really like it. Because this is the kind of stuff where once you actually understand exactly how Hat in Time works, how all of the different individual things, ways of movement and ways to interact with the environment, once you fit that all together, you can do some cool stuff. And this map makes use of that cool stuff. Like you see right here, I'm going to the side, I'm like jumping around a pillar to wall run on the side of that pillar so I can do some double jump stuff. And then we do some double jumps, double wall jumps between some planks. I really like that stuff. There's some really cool stuff going on in here that makes you use all the Hat in Time movement has to offer. And that is why this is there. And also, yeah. That's that. Thank you, Xara, for that. And also thank you for the dye, because the golden dye that you've seen this entire time was indeed the sunlight dye or the solar dye that Sarah made for me after beating this. I love it. So yeah, so this is the last time I'm gonna be making a top 10 like this. I'm really sorry. A top 10 for maps, at least. That's gonna be a top 10 for custom stuff. Oh, that's pretty good. Don't fret though, because if there's some really cool maps in the future, I'll just make singular videos on this cool map. So for example, I have a stream, I play a cool map, and I'll just upload that cool map as its own video on YouTube. So don't worry, if you like cool Hat in Time maps, you're not gonna miss out on those. In fact, you're gonna get more content probably, at least for the cool maps. But yeah, the reason why I don't want to do any more is, I mean, people that have watched some of my streams and heard me talk about custom maps in general probably are not surprised by this, probably already know this, but I just don't feel well doing something like this, trying to applaud the great maps when the general audience, not just on Steam but of gamers in general, will downvote anything to fuck that they can't beat because people are too prideful to understand that if something that is designed to be really hard for some, and is only supposed to be beatable by people who are really good at the game, people are too prideful to understand that that is just not for them if they're not good enough. People will still play it, people will fail, people will download, people will write angry comments, people will spread negativity, tell everyone the map sucked because they couldn't beat it, and I just don't feel well whenever I make videos like this, looking at comments and then thinking to myself, I don't feel like I even need to do a top 10 like this, because I know the general audience doesn't give a shit. The general audience is just like, oh, my first Blue Rift, or this is a copy-paste of this and that. This is way better than this other map that I couldn't beat, even though it told me that I need to be this good to beat it. I don't know. I mean, it's okay not to like maps that you can't beat because you're not good enough. But then why do you write hateful comments and downvote the map? Because the map is not for you. The map is just not for you. Why do you engage with it and then get angry at it? I don't understand this. So yeah, that's the main reason. The other reason is there's just not that many great games, not that many great maps that are gonna appear probably now that Timmy Day is over and that the majority of Hat in Time modding has sort of like died down. I don't even think there's gonna be that many more cool maps that are gonna happen. So the few that there are, they're gonna have their own video, and I don't think I need a top 10 for this anymore. That was that. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next time on other videos.